I'm concerned about many things happening in our time. There are things we don't used to hear growing up. The sermons we had deterred us from keeping some kind of intimate relationships. But a generation came that their problem is body count. They want to know what is your body count. So if your body count is low, it means you're still good. But if your body count is high, their problem is your body count, not whether you do or you don't do. Before now, we were still wondering if people should do bridal shower or not. But right now, as it stands, that one is no longer a conversation, right? We're having a whole new conversation now. The new conversation is, should there be engagement? Is it party now? I don't know how they call it. That surprise thing they do.
Yes.
People force themselves to plan a surprise. Somebody comes together, two people, get a cameraman, cook, invite friends, and then still surprise themselves.
It's so funny.
We don't threaten people into relationships. As Christian brothers, we tend to do it sometimes. We consider it a mark of spirituality, and then we tell you, God spoke to me yesterday night, and you dim your eyes more. I had attempted dating somebody before, but we did not date. Not like I asked her out, no. We were friends, we were just doing our thing. I wouldn't call that dating. So I don't think there's anybody that will come out and say I dated with her apart from my wife. And that's because I don't even understand what dating is in the first place. We might need to call people to explain to us what is dating. If you ask me to write about an issue I have in marriage, I'll have to go back and think. I'll have to go back, sit down, think for long, then come up with one or two. And those one or two is not something you will consider an issue. I see my wife as my disciple. I see my wife as my child. I see my wife as my baby. She sees me as her leader, her pastor, her husband. But there are things that goes ahead before the husband. My wife can bring food to the table and smile and say, let me serve my man of God. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. This is supposed to be serving your husband. You say, no, today I want to serve my pastor. There are many women that will never have a quarrel with their pastor. Whatever pastor says is correct. Why is it not the same in your house? Even parents don't correct their children. They just beat them for what they don't like. What we do, we don't correct, we punish. So we consider the rod of correction as the rod of punishment. It's not exactly the same. When we went to primary school, if they solve mathematics on the board and you fail it, what the teacher does is that he comes back and he tells you, okay, everybody look up. This is how it is done. He solves it, and then he tells you, this is where you missed it, so that you don't miss this again. Can you be honest to say that this is how you correct your spouse? But you just come in and say, I've been talking in this house, nobody's doing this, nobody's doing that. You know, those feuds and quarrel you are making, you are the one causing problem in your home. There's no fight in my house. I correct. If we want to talk about relationship, there's a lot we are talking about there.
Yeah.
A whole lot of things we are saying, a whole lot of things that people need to watch out for, right? Let me talk about the relationship parts before I go a little deeper, or let me just give a broader perspective to these things. When we come to church, for instance, the church is like it's like a hospital, right? For instance, I know you might have seen this analogy before, but not everybody in the hospital is a doctor, right? And you can even come and see that other people also came with their sicknesses, and some people's sickness are more virulent. They can kill faster. Some other people's own are more infectious. You can add to what you have, right? Before you go. So there's this assumption when people come to the church that everybody you meet is already there. It's a believer, and it's not true. So if you get to the hospital, the gate man is not a doctor. The person that shows you where to park is not a doctor. The person that registers your name in the file is not a doctor. The person that asks you to wait is not a doctor. The person that probably ran a lab test for you is not a doctor. The person that did your vitals might also not be a doctor. Right? At the end of the day, you might meet a whole lot of people before you eventually meet the doctor. If you're going to judge the doctor by the gate, it means you are going to be judging wrongly. If you're going to be judging him by the person that's helped you park, it means you're going to be judging wrongly. So this is the first thing I want people to understand whenever they are coming to church. This is not to make excuses that we should expect anything, right? Or people should behave anyhow. That's not the excuse I'm making. I'm just trying to give people perspective. When you see the apostle in the Bible writing about not being equally yoked with unbelievers, most people usually assume first that the people he's talking about are people outside the church. But what he was saying is that there are people that are in church there that he considers as unbelievers. So not everybody that comes to church is a believer. People need to know that unbelievers are not just those that are outside church. There are people in church that are also unbelievers. So when he says they should not be equally yoked with unbelievers, it begins with the unbelievers that are sitting with you in church. So the fact that they came they hear what is said does not mean they agree. And you can tell the person leaves that place and he says, all these pastors, they have a way of stealing from people. All these priests, they do this. All these ones, they do that. You will see that the person is not even into the whole exercise. And then imagine you connect with this kind of person. And then the person begins to feed you with wrong information. At some point, you begin to have a team of rebels in that system. And it's a very bad place to be, right? So that's the first point I want to address, that many people come to church. That's one. It's even so bad now that a Yahoo boy wants to marry and he says the only place he can find a good girl is in church. So he starts coming to a church. He says he's looking for a wife. Funny things happen. Or his sister wants to get married and he believes the way he can get a good brother is in church. She was clubbing all her life, and the Yahoo boy has been enjoying himself all his life. But now it's time to marry. So he leaves all the girls and is looking for who to destroy. Right? So that's the first point. The second point I want to draw our attention to is this. Now that you have understood that not everybody that gathered is a believer, you also need to know that everybody that gathered are in different areas of life. When you go to school, we have a way of dividing people into classes. Somebody's maybe in basic, somebody is in secondary, somebody is in nursery, somebody is in, different categories of people. You put them and then you arrange a teacher for them. You see, the church is not like that. A pastor can quickly make an assumption that everybody in church are at the same level. He can start talking about realms and heights and planes and some beautiful things, which are not bad. It's just that you have a mixed audience, right? Not everybody understands what you are saying. This is also something else everybody needs to get or have in mind as you are coming to church. Having said these two things, let me add one more, that the people that also come to church are in different generations and different experiences, different categories of people. So if you read the Bible and the Bible starts teaching about body life or church life, you will see that the Bible has an address on how you should look at older people. The Bible has an address on how you should look at younger men. The Bible has an address on how you should look at and relate with younger females. Right? So it means the book is careful to tell you that not all of us are in the same category. So if all these people becomes Christians, they are not all in the same category. Having said these three things, it now boils down to how do you now build a certain kind of relationship that will eventually lead to marriage, right? I hope that's the question. In this kind of environment, right? You come into this place and then you see all these people. How will you now get to something that will lead to marriage? With the categories, with the things I listed before now, you automatically know that first, not everybody is a believer. So the fact that somebody says, wow, it's nice, it's this, the service today was beautiful, doesn't make them a believer. You need to find out, is the person a believer? I believe this podcast is not for us to define who a believer is, right? But you need to find out. This is very important. Number two, you now need to find out if he's a believer, where is the person in the equation? Where is this person? Our class varies, right? Our understanding varies. Our place varies. Somebody's in a church where a pastor says, once they tell you about nakedness, run. So we have 3 people in that church that had it, or 3 class of people that had it. The elderly people understand, once they tell you about nakedness, run. So they know what the pastor is saying. The pastor is probably talking about once they start talking about sexual immorality, run. Another person hears, once they tell you about nakedness, run. And the person is thinking, whenever they talk about immorality, stay, but nakedness. So you can enjoy the story, you can enjoy the fun, as long as they have not gotten to nakedness. Run. Do you understand this point? Another person hears that you should, once they mention nakedness, it doesn't matter the context, run. So 2 people are in a relationship and a brother looks at the sister, maybe on phone, they are not even together, and he tells her, Ma, there's something I want to tell you. And she's like, what do you want to say? And the brother goes, can we be naked and not ashamed? Right? This is a very serious thing. And then this sister was in that group of people that hears once they say nakedness, run. So this was on phone. They were not together. And then this sister is saying, let them be this. Meanwhile, the brother, in his own mind, was trying to use maybe an analogy to explain the condition. It means, can I open up to you? I'm dying. There's a problem. Will I be able to tell you my pain, tell you what I'm suffering, and not be ashamed? But the sister had, once there is nakedness, run. And nakedness has entered that conversation. So it cuts off the relationship. Says that's all. You see, these three categories of people. So we have these matured people. If it's a matured person that hears it, he knows how to relate. If it's still an immature person that hears it, they know how to relate. People don't know how to listen. Right? So these are some of the things you need to watch out. Just in case you see somebody acting strange, it doesn't mean the person intends to act strange outrightly. It's just the person's level of understanding. So somebody that must go into a marital relationship, in fact, relationship at all, right? If we want to go by, I don't know if I should just stick with the Bible or I should be free to teach. Right?
Like true.
There's something they call emotional quotient.
Okay.
Right? I know people must have heard of intelligence quotient, right? A measure of person's retention of what is being taught, right? There is such a thing as emotional quotient. Emotional quotient is having that capacity to know people's emotional boundaries. You can sit with somebody and you cannot tell the person is getting angry and you're still doing what you're doing. Do you understand? You're pushing the person beyond limits and then the person reacts. You're like, is it because of this small thing I'm doing? By just hanging around and seeing the energy, you should know if you are that intelligent, if you have that emotional intelligence. There is also adversity quotient, right? How people are able to bear adversity. Some people, if the weather becomes hot, it's a problem. Just it's as simple as that. Just that the weather is hot, right? Some people, if you shout too much, is a problem. All these things, people have their threshold of bearing adversity. People have their threshold of interpretation of emotions. I'm saying this because I expect somebody that should go into a marital relationship to have that level of maturity, to have that kind of what I would call that emotional maturity, right? To know how to relate with people. It means it automatically helps you know in connection, in relationship, who is here, who is there, who is not here, and who is not there, right? This is very important. The number two thing that will help anybody that intends to go into a relationship in church is this. When you hear God, don't meet the sister and say, I've heard God, you are my wife, that's all. If you want to hear God, hear God. If you don't want to hear God, in fact, I'm giving you 2 days to hear God. You don't threaten people into relationships. This is true. As Christian brothers, we tend to do it sometimes. We consider it a mark of spirituality, right? And then we tell you, God spoke to me yesterday night, and you dim your eyes more. Say, sister, pay attention to what I'm about to say. And the person is like, so what is it? And he says, you are my wife. Go and pray about it. Come back tomorrow and give me feedback. As much as it appears very spiritual, I think you are very funny, right? That's me. If you talk to my daughter like that, I will now need to hear God well to know you are okay before we say yes, right? This is a very sensitive place. I expect that if you want to be in a relationship, take it step by step. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry. There is such a thing as acquaintance. Yes, acquaintance is not bad. She's our church member. He's our church member. You people greet. How are you doing? Fine. Where are you going? Oh, I'm going that way. Thank you. Me, I'm going this way. See you next Sunday. You come next Sunday. Oh, sister, you look more beautiful today. Did you change your hair? Yes. Oh, it's good to see you. The last time I didn't get to know your name. What is your name? He says his name. That's acquaintance. You're getting to know the person. So you told me to. I'm what?
You're too good here.
So this time, you're like, last week you said you were going the other way. Where exactly are you going to? Around where? So the person tells you, you're already getting to know more, right? Maybe there's no time, you people part again. The next time you people meet, there's something is already happening, right? Maybe this time, you now take a little longer to even speak. And you're like, have you gone to school? And the person is like, yes, I'm in 300 level. What course are you studying? I'm studying chemistry. What about you? Physics. Chemistry and physics. It looks like something good is going to come out of it, right? I'm not saying God has not spoken to you. God has spoken to you. You're not going there to play. You know what you're doing, right? But there is no problem with getting to be acquainted with people.
Yeah.
Right? There's no harm in acquaintance. No harm. Progress it to what becomes genuine friendship. Genuine friendship where the expectations are not many. It's friendship. Friendship is friendship. I believe as friends, there's nothing wrong with getting to know his parents, her parents. I'm not saying going to visit them to tell them your intention. Right? You can bring your friend to your house and say, daddy, that's my friend, though, we're in the same church. We just want to do small editing together. That was something they said in prayer meeting that we needed to look at. Okay, that's friendship. Right? It affords you the opportunity to even know who you are dealing with, where you are going. So that you don't come up tomorrow and say, your mother-in-law is a witch. And you didn't know before. Your father-in-law is this, the brother is that, and it becomes the basis for why you should break your marriage. People should practice genuine friendship, possibly for long. I believe if friendship is genuine and it happens for long, it will evolve. You should be friends in such a way that the sister, should I say this? That the sister might even want to ask, so what are we doing with this? Or this our thing, where are we going to? That's where that question comes in. It means the brother has the wisdom. He's intelligent to know how to trigger that question. And if somebody begins to ask you, where are we going with this? You already know what the answer is when you propose. So that you are not the brother that proposes to 25 people and God spoke to you about the 25 people. You should know at that level, with the energy, with the attitude, that this is not a yes, this is not a go ahead, this is not a this. You don't waste your time. You go back and tell God, see you. Right? If your now says, tell her all the same, then you tell her. But most of the times, you will just know that this is a no. You move on with your life. I think people are not that intelligent. Right? They are just careless about relationships, careless about human interactions. And at the end of the day, a lot of things go wrong. So this is just a general advice on church relationship, how to relate with people in church, and then eventually something that will lead to marriage. There is a flip side to this. When I was talking at first, I was talking about company. As a pastor, I feel embarrassed when somebody comes to me and says, there's this brother that is coming to me. I like him. We want to take it serious. This is an example I'm giving. This is not a classic case, right? And then, let's say we have prayed, we are sure, and then the sister is like, let's keep it secret. Let's not tell anybody. You don't come to me and tell me that, right? And then maybe sometimes I want to go a little further and I ask you, you have 5 friends in your team in church or in your unit in church. All of you are together. You are very close. You stay in the same room. You eat together. You cook together. But you don't want them to know. I think I suspect you. Yes. I'm not saying people shouldn't do it. I'm only saying that if you talk to me like that as a pastor, I'm suspecting you. I'm suspecting you because you're not part of a company. I believe if there are people you should tell to even help me pray about this, it should be those people. The fact that you people are eating together, you are sleeping together, you are resting together. So what are you people doing? We're even in the same church. This is not office we're talking about. It's not civil service. Right? We're talking about church here. People should be vulnerable. That doesn't mean you should be vulnerable to everybody. But if you eventually find yourself in a company, there should be some measure of vulnerability. If you can't tell people that somebody is asking you out, how will you be able to tell them that you are struggling with something that they need to pray about? Right? So that's what I think. When you even get to church, don't form political party, but find a company. Find a company. God can come to a church like an Acts of Apostles and say, separate to me Paul and Barnabas for the work I will have them to do. There can be uniqueness in that kind of gathering where there is a company that is into a certain assignment. People should watch out for that. Those people will watch your back. They will help you. You will help them. And things will go out well. I hope I'm making sense at all.
Very, very well. I'm learning something new. We need to dwell here a little.
Let's make 3 texts. Wow, for Moses.
All right. I feel you should also talk about this issue of proposal. What's your view about this trending kind of proposal now? I'm not trying to raise a controversy, but let's hear your view. on, is it a must? Where did that originate from, that a young man will have to kneel down before a lady, and then the lady will do before the ring will be inserted? Like, what's your view on that kind of proposal?
I don't know if I should speak my mind.
Please. You have to.
Because I don't like drama, right?
Yeah.
I'm not against any brother that went to kneel down.
Okay.
You have the right to kneel down, right?
Okay.
And even lie down if you need. You have your way of expressing your love. It's allowed, right?
Yeah.
This is where I have a problem. I have a problem with putting people under pressure. Right? You know, I don't know what is happening. I'm concerned about many things happening in our time. There are things we don't used to hear growing up. Right? Maybe I should say some of them here. For example, growing up, the sermons we had deterred us from keeping some kind of intimate relationships. But a generation came that their problem is body count. They want to know, what is your body count? So if your body count is low, it means you're still good. It's not whether if you are living if it is low, you're still good. But if your body count is high, their problem is your body count, not whether you do or you don't do. So that's a change in perspective. It's a whole new, it's funny, right, how we're having these conversations. Then we're now in a generation where two people are in a relationship and it's like you just got a new job. For the lady, she got a job. So somebody comes and asks you, how much do they give you every month? What do you mean by that? This is not, you're not working. You're in a relationship with a brother. So where is the question coming up from? How much do they pay you every month? They have to pay you money to be in a relationship. And you see somebody in church and it's like, I have to make my hair, I have to fix my nails. That's what boyfriends are for. Are you all right? Right? And we're having these conversations. And this is what is gradually becoming all manner of pressure. Before now, we were still wondering if people should do bridal shower or not.
Yeah.
But right now, as it stands, we have that one is no longer a conversation, right? We're having a whole new conversation now. The new conversation is, should there be engagement? Is it party now? I don't know how they call it. That surprise thing they do.
Yes.
So people force themselves to plan a surprise. Somebody comes together, gets a cameraman, two people, get a cameraman, cook, invite friends, and then still surprise themselves. Right?
It's so funny.
And they have to do something for the camera. They have to do something for the social media. That's funny, right? That's not even marriage. I don't know what that is. Like I said, I'm not against it. Where I have a problem is where there is undue pressure. Then there's this brother that just wants to start out life. He just had God, and God said, "Is this sister?" And then maybe the sister had accepted, and the sister looks at him and says, "Before we do anything, we have to go to," maybe mentions the name of one hotel where they sell food, about 50K for a plate, and say, "My 10 friends are coming. That's where we'll do our surprise." And then this brother must do it. Why must he do it? Where did we learn all these things from? Like I said, it's not an issue if you want to enjoy your life. I won't dictate for people how to spend their money. I'm against people deciding to, come up with things that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't add to the marriage, that don't add to the home. And then they say that's what it is. I don't know if I should say this at this point because this is very sensitive. I think I did a message on the power of invitation, right? Okay. I had to teach that in one of the weddings we had to do in church, where I was trying to advise people on who you invite to your wedding, what an invitation is, right? The request for somebody's presence, the request for somebody's possibilities, the request for somebody's rank, for somebody's position to a place. It's important who you are inviting because it all begins from invitation, and this is what these people are not getting. Some of these parties and engagement and this before the real marriage is already an invitation you're handing out to different people. And when people come, they don't come alone. They come with spirits. Right? It's like inviting our state governor and not expecting DSS and not expecting police. What kind of invitation is that? If you invite him, automatically you have invited his aides, you have invited some security personnel. There are people you invited 500 demons for one occasion. And you know the funny thing? If you read John chapter 2 carefully to find out the 4 kinds of people that were invited in the wedding of Cana, because there were 4 kinds of people invited. The first was Mary, the mother of Jesus. Mary, the mother of Jesus, was invited as touching Jesus. If you read that scripture carefully, you're going to see that Mary was a relation to the people that we are wedding. Right? But they did not say, I'm inviting Mary. They said the mother of Jesus was there. So they did not address her as Mary. They did not address her as cousin. They did not address her as auntie. They did not address her as somebody in our community. They addressed her as touching the Son, Jesus, as the mother of Jesus. That's a beautiful invite to make. Many people don't do those kind of invites. The second set of people that were invited was Jesus and his disciples. Think about the fact that somebody comes to your house and invites your mom for a wedding and now gets another invitation card and comes to you and says, I'm also inviting you for the same wedding. And you're like, but you've told my mom we are coming. And you say, no, this one is for mommy. This one is for you. It means they're inviting you differently. So they were inviting Jesus and his disciples to that same wedding. The third set of people they invited to that wedding is the person that they refer to as the governor of the feast. The governor of the feast was an important figure in that event. And the governor of the feast is a representation of people that have good intentions for you but might not be able to do anything when there is a problem. And the last set of people that were invited were the others that came to eat and drink. If you remember in the story, at some point the wine finished. And I will ask the question, who drank the wine? You know, it's not like they didn't bring wine.
Yeah.
It's that the one they had
Finished.
So, think about it. Do you think Mary, the mother of Jesus, has a problem because the wine finished? Do you think Jesus and his disciples have a problem because the wine finished? Do you think the governor of the feast has a problem because the wine finished? There is a fourth set of people that don't care about your life, don't care about your progress, don't care. They don't know you. They don't even care. But they are there to drink the wine. And they drink wine. When wine finishes, they will not go. They will ask you to bring more. These first 3 set of people don't have a problem even if you didn't bring wine to that event, they will be happy you got married. But people spend money, spend time, and invite people they don't need in an event. And it all begins with this invitation. They are there to exhaust your wine and request for more. Okay, what role did the mother of Jesus play in that event? She played the role of an intercessor, somebody that hears about the pain you have and might not talk to you about it, but talks to somebody that can do something about it. So you invite people to your marriage, to your wedding, or to whatever. People that when they come and see that there is a gap, they go back in prayers. They can talk to God on your behalf. They might not have told you they are praying, but they are praying. They might not have told you they are fasting, but they are fasting. They are not gossips. You didn't even tell them there's a problem. They spotted it themselves. These people, they have no wine. They were able to pick it. So you see those kind of people and you don't invite them. If I invite them only one in that occasion, then you invite Jesus and his disciples. Jesus as touching his possibility because he has disciples. So if you're inviting Jesus and his disciples, you already know that the rabbi is a teacher and has people that follow him, people he can give instructions. People also go to do events or run marriages and invite people that Jesus cannot instruct. You should be in a place where God can talk to people and say, go and do this for this person. And the person lives there, goes out to do what God instructs them to do for you in your own occasion. Right? Hope you know when Jesus told them to fill the jars with water, he was not talking to the person having the marriage. He was talking to another person. People have people around their life that Jesus cannot speak to. And they say, he's my best friend. He must be my best man. He must be my chief bridesmaid. In fact, we need them to do bridal shower. And then they come and leave their breasts open and do something funny. Without knowing that these people came with a catalog of demons of different colors, different shades, different sizes. And these are the things you are bringing into your home. I'm showing you the power of an invitation. Bad things have not started happening, but we're seeing where it's coming from. So if you come to a wedding where there are 5,000 people, the question will be, how many people here can Jesus speak to about this couple? And they will be. The third set of the people, which are very nice people, the governor of the feast, representation of maybe the chairman, people that have your goodwill, your parents, right? But if your wine finish, there's nothing they will do. The doctrine of wine is deeper than just having something to drink, right? They might not be able to help. They might not be able to help when the devil strikes. They might not be able to help when something terrible begins to happen, when you need divine intervention. But these three sets of people are people you need the most. It will interest you to know that these three sets of people makes up 10% of the people most people invite for their weddings. So if they invite 100 people for their weddings, these people are 10 out of 100. So the other 90 are the multitude that are there to drink. And why many brothers are not married yet is because of that 90. They want to be able to run a party that can accommodate people they don't need. People that will not add to their life, that will not change their life, that will not do anything for them. Those are the people they want to invite. They want to impress. They want to show something to. And it's a very funny world. I would not advise anybody, a believer, to operate like that or to live like that.
Wow. I gained a whole lot here. Thank you so much for exposing our mind to that. Now let's bring it to your own story while we draw the curtains.
Okay.
So from your own experience, let's hear how you were able to get to this point in marriage, the transition, the friendship transition, the whole stuff.
All right.
Your wife, was she the only person you dated?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So you didn't have like all these ladies come. You repented on time.
Was that what happened? Well, if that's what you would say, I was born in a Christian home, and I didn't have the privilege of some kind of exposure. Is that a privilege? I don't know, but
let's just say
some kind of exposure, maybe negative exposures now. Let me not call it a privilege, right? Not like I don't know what's up, all right? But it wasn't there. It wasn't there. I had female friends, but we were not dating. I had attempted dating somebody before, but we did not date. Right?
Okay.
Not like I asked her out. No, we're friends. We're just doing our thing, But I wouldn't call that dating. So I don't think there's anybody that will come out and say I dated with her apart from my wife. And that's because I don't even understand what dating is in the first place. We might need to call people to explain to us what is dating, right? So my wife is the first and the only.
Wow.
That's the truth. So we met in Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria, Nigeria, a very beautiful place, a place I will not forget in a hurry. She was in my fellowship, and we pray, right? She was sort of my leader because she had portfolio. I didn't have portfolio, right? So we were in this place, we come to pray every day, right? And I will not forget the advice of my father and the Lord that if you must marry from a pool of revival. So we had that arrangement. It was a pool of revival where we were praying then, and then she was just there. Not like I wanted to have anything to do with her. No, I was convinced, I was led. The reason is because she was in that fellowship for 2 years, and the first time we spoke, I didn't know her name. Right? You are not so much in the fellowship, and yet you don't know this sister's name. It means you are not really interested, right? You just know there's this girl, good girl, she's there. And at Sanesco, I still don't know her name. So it was not my business at that point, right? Long story cut short, I was convinced, we became friends like that. We graduated to becoming married. But one thing I can say without blinking is that I married a very good wife. Yes, I married a very good woman. I used to tell her that she's the last good woman available on the earth. If I had not married her, maybe I wouldn't have been married. But that, she needs to know that. And that's how much I love her and care about her and cherish her and her person. So I married her, and I'm proud to say that we don't have issues. We've been married for not so long, about 6 years. We don't have issues. We don't have regrets. We don't have fights. We don't have unnecessary quarrels. We talk, we gist, we laugh, we play, we do every other thing good.
Like
right.
You guys don't have issues at all in marriage.
In all honesty, right? If you ask me to write about an issue I have in marriage, I'll have to go back and think.
Really?
Yes, I'll have to go back, sit down, think for long, then come up with one or two. That's if there, and those one or two is not something you will consider an issue.
So how do you achieve that for 6 years? No issues. Because the perspective they usually preach to us as regards marriage is that issue go day. Like there will be issues.
Oh my God.
And they say it with every assurance.
With assurance.
Yes.
I think I've had those kind of gospels before where they say two people from two different places, 2 different days, 2 different that will definitely have. And I understand all that, right? I don't have time. I can give us a list of the differences in people, at fundamental levels. This in human relationships, right? A list of, there are about 7 of them, right? And I think if you want to look at it like that, me and my wife are very different, right?
Yeah.
We're different in every sense of the word different. I think the only thing we have in common is that we're Christians, right? She's not from my place. She's not from my tribe. She's not from my state. All the differences, yes. Our backgrounds are not similar. The kind of place I was raised is not the kind of place she was raised. The kind of family I was raised in is not the kind of family she was raised in. The kind of food they ate is not the kind of food we eat. Her academic exposure is not my academic exposure. And the list goes on. So we are different in every sense of the word. What binded us together at all is Jesus, right? And this is what I believe should be fundamental to anybody you are going to be connecting with. Let the binding factor not be your village. Don't say I must marry from my village. It means the common ground is your village. 2 people are going to have village battles. Our strength is in our union with Christ.
Yeah.
Right? Not because she's my neighbor. I think somebody had to advise me then. Says, if you have problem, how would they quickly go to her in-laws to report? And I'm like, are you okay? This was before my wedding. What kind of advice is that? So that if there's problem, you can go and talk to her people. Who told you I'm planning to have problem? You see, these are some reasons why people even get married. Yeah. You have this mindset, and you are getting married to a sister. So you are planning that something will happen, and there will be the homeowner will come together to come and reconcile. Funny things that people do, right? So all that advice came. In fact, we're so different that even the way we cook is different. The egusi soup is a little different from the one I used to know. Right? These, they are just there. But look at it. Somebody that must be in a relationship or should go into marriage should first be matured.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the man now. Right? There is a certain level of maturity required. I see my wife as my disciple. I see my wife as my child. I see my wife as my baby. She sees me as her leader, her pastor, her husband, right? But there are things that goes ahead before the husband. So my wife can bring food to the table and smile and say, let me serve my man of God. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. This is supposed to be serving your husband. You say, no, today I want to serve my pastor. Right? So I can be coming back from work and I call her and I'm like, please, your pastor is coming home. And she knows what that means. If I say your husband is coming home, it means something else, right? Yeah. But we do that, we understand those codes. So I think they should have that maturity. There are many women that will never have a quarrel with their pastor.
I get that.
Never. Most women will not. Whatever pastor says is correct. Why is it not the same in your house? Right? Why is it different for you and your husband? And then there are many pastors that will do everything not to hurt their daughters. Why is it different for you? Why would I do anything that want to make her feel bad? What if she misses it? Because it will happen. Let's say you say do something and it was not done right, go there and it was not done the way, or something happens, it was not done. How do you correct your baby? Right? How do you correct? I mean, how do you use the rod of correction? Because that's what the Bible calls it in the book of Proverbs. Some people think the rod of correction is just a cane, without realizing that there's a deeper meaning to rod in the New Testament. And even in the Old, whenever we say rod, we're not just talking about a cane, right?
Yeah.
It appears as a cane, but we know the significance. We know what it means, right? The Bible talked about the Holy Spirit as a rod, right? He will send a rod from heaven. You know the passage of scripture. The Bible talked about the rod of Moses and all that. All that happened, right? So whenever people hear the rod of correction, they are thinking of a cane they are going to use to flog somebody. Except that in most families we don't correct. Even parents don't correct their children. They just beat them for what they don't like.
True. I get
So
that.
a child carries a guitar and is playing, and his father comes and says, that's how they start spoiling. So you can receive the beating of your life, maybe in Africa, because you are carrying a guitar and your father is against it. So parents, what we do, we don't correct, we punish. So we consider the rod of correction as the rod of punishment. It's not exactly the same. When we went to primary school, if they solve mathematics on the board and you fail it, what the teacher does is that he comes back and he tells you, okay, everybody look up, this is how it is done. He solves it, and then he tells you, this is where you missed it, so that you don't miss this again. Can you be honest to say that this is how you correct your spouse? Or do you just come in and say, I've been talking in this house, nobody's doing this, nobody's doing that? You know, those feuds and quarrel you are making, you are the one causing problem in your home. There's no fight in my house. I correct. That's what I do. I try to show people how things should be done. I don't just tell them to do it. I show them how it should be done.
Yeah.
Right? I don't just say, this is it. You show the workings. You show the person. And also, apart from showing the workings, people correct actions. They don't correct perspectives. They don't correct intentions. Right?
Yeah.
If you want something done, it's important to give somebody guide into why it should be done. So that the person considers it a priority, knows how it works, knows what it means for you. As much as you can come and say, do this, and go. It's different when you come and tell them. Let's say you come and you tell your children, like when we're small, our parents will say, sweep the house before I come back. Make sure you sweep everywhere. Sometimes we don't get to sweep it, or we sweep it, clean everywhere up, and still mess it up properly before they come in, right? It's different from when your mom wants to go out in the morning and she calls you people and you come together and she's like, we're having visitors today.
Yeah.
Some very important people are coming. And you know what this means for us. I don't know what time. We have the whole day. They can come by 4 p.m. They can come by 5 p.m. But this is just 7 a.m. in the morning. They can even come this morning. I want everywhere set, everywhere clean, everything well positioned for these guests that are coming. And then you leave the house. If you have children that have sense, even by 9 p.m., that house might still be in a perfect order.
Yeah.
The rod of correction is not just something you engage when after somebody has done something wrong. It's a rod you can give somebody ahead in the future. It can guide the person's path.
Yeah.
That's what the Bible calls training. If you train the child in that way, the child should go. It says when he grows, he will not depart from it.
Exactly.
Because that rod goes into the person's future. I think many, I think maybe we need to have a session for men. People are just causing unnecessary issues in their home. The way you see your spouse, right, decides how you talk to her, how you correct what you say, how you say what you say. There's a way to talk to somebody you know loves you, somebody doing their best, somebody that's your baby. There's a way you talk to them. And that's how I look at this thing. I think this is the major reason why we don't have all these issues in our home. I've explained it that there's a way my wife sees me and there is a way I see her. We honor each other, we respect each other. Number two things, people do not realize that a bulk of the things in marriage is not a seed, it's a harvest. I think I've said this again and again. Somebody says, I want a happy home. A happy home is not a seed. There is a seed for a happy home. Right? If you want a happy home, there is something you need to do to have a happy home. Somebody doesn't do it and he just wants a happy home. How do you get a happy home? Somebody say we want love in our home. There is no love in our home. Love is a harvest. Love is not a seed. There is a seed for love. You have to sow care. And sow care consistently. And sometimes both of you will have to be sowing it. Imagine I'm coming back and I'm thinking, wow, my wife is at home. What do I get for her? Which is how we operate. How do I show this woman I love her, I want to care? Somebody might listen to this and say, I don't have issues. That's why I'm talking like this. Well, I understand what you're saying. I also understand where the person is.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you're in prison. I I don't know, right? Because if it's something important to you, you give it what it takes. If you were going for a job interview and let's say you use the public transport and the driver annoyed you so well, you don't transfer the anger to the people interviewing you. If you go there, you put up a smiling face, right?
Yeah.
You don't tell them, you don't know where I'm coming from. You people should better respect yourself. No, you don't do that. Why do you do it in your house? Why do you take all the anger from the office, all the anger from home, and you come and vent it on innocent people that are minding their business? So you must be careful to realize that even that anger you are bringing home is a seed you are sowing. So when you drop that seed, you should expect the harvest of that. So I'm bringing a seed home. My wife is also preparing a seed. She's thinking, Daddy is coming. What will he eat? I need to make something special. I need to make him happy. I need to do this. I'm also thinking of how to make her happy while coming. How are we going to quarrel? On what grounds?
I get.
So I think people try to make a fuse out of nothing. It's just people not understanding human relationships, or probably understands them and don't want to live by them. We must not quarrel. Yes. It doesn't matter the differences.
Wow. This is like a very big secret and a big guide.
Yes, we must
for
not.
anybody getting into relationship, for people, not for us that are still very focused.
Focused on what?
We're still focused on Jesus.
This is serious.
Wow, I'm really learning a lot from this big experience, and now I wish we could just delve deeper.
Okay.
Or maybe we could take another section, just like you are talking about addressing the issue of men. And we need to have a separate section where we can go as regards men, women separately.
Something every Christian brother should know.
Yes, and
something
like that.
Christian sister should know.
Yeah, we need to really have, because in understanding that, I mean, relationship shouldn't be a burden.
No, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't be a burden like many people present it. Okay, please, sorry that I'm still holding you back.
Please go ahead.
Give an advice to a Christian brother. You know, you did not finish the story of how you met your wife, or I caught in between.
Okay.
Yes. You are still telling us how good she is, that you people don't have problems.
Yes, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't.
So,
like I said, we met in that fellowship and we continued being friends, continued praying. At some point, I had to tell her, this is what God is telling me. What do you think? There are. Oh, yes, I did. I spoke to her, maybe not in a way she wants me to, because a regular lady wants you to be like, you are the meat in my soup, you are the sugar in my tea, yeah, the cockroach, wherever, and all that. Maybe I didn't go that route, right? I'm not saying it's something bad, neither am I saying it's extremely good. If it works for you, beautiful. If it doesn't work for you, beautiful. I'm only saying that we found ourselves evolve into the thing, into marriage. We started talking about how our wedding would be.
wow.
So we didn't have all that drama of, can I kneel down? Can I put a ring in your finger? Can I do this? Of course, there is a time I now said, will you marry me? But not the way people want me to say it.
Yeah.
Right? It must not be, will you marry me? It could be, my dear, can our wedding hold next year? You can also say, you are who?
It's entering.
Should we do it here or here?
Yeah.
And then she goes, well, let's not do it here. Let's do it there. You people are planning for wedding.
Yeah.
And you're like, how many children should we give birth to? And many other conversations you can be having, right? There's no problem with all that for me.
Yeah.
Right? It's just that there are many ways to say the same thing. If I don't say it your way, it doesn't mean I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
That's just the point.
Okay. So
we met there, we continued, and then what do you want to hear, bro? God's time. We got married.
Details.
We got married. Our wedding was here, and it was beautiful. I went for traditional marriage.
How many years did you know her before the wedding?
Like I said, I was in that fellowship we were in that fellowship for about 2 years. So I had known her,
Okay.
right? And then even after school, we were still together for like, this was in final year. We were together for about, say 4 years.
Wow.
Right? And then we got married. Like I said, there's no formula to these things, right? We can advise. We can advise based on the person. We can advise based on general principles. Some people's body, is itchy. You don't ask them to stay in a long relationship. Some people might also be comfortable that they are not together. This one is in a different city. This one is in a different city. It's their formula, right? We can't put a general rule, but we can advise. Yeah. For some people, it doesn't work for them. For some people, it works for them. That's how these things are.
Okay, please, an advice to a Christian brother who, both a Christian, a believer, who has experienced a kind of relationship where things didn't go as they planned it, like they messed up. These are people who messed up sexually in a relationship, and it has happened a couple of maybe 2 or 3 times. And will I just say such a person is scared of being in a relationship, or just give an advice to such a person, but the person is already matured for marriage?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I should advise Brother John. The name of this brother should be called John. So if you're Brother John and you're watching this, or you're the category of Brother John, this is, as a pastor, we meet this kind of issues.
Yeah.
We have had issues of people that are not sincere. The fact that somebody comes out and is even telling you, this happened, I don't want this to continue, means the person is sincere with himself, sincere about his work with God, sincere about where he's going. He wants to make progress. Some people will never tell you this, right? So if a brother comes to me and is opening up to tell me, sir, this is the issue, I think I'm messing up. What do we do about this? How do we go about this? Usually what I want to know is, where is the sister? If she's around, I want to see the two of you together. And let me talk to Brother John, assuming that you are with the sister now, right? 3 important things is that I commend your virtue of sincerity. The fact that you were honest with yourself is a proof you want to move forward, is a proof you want to do something serious with your life. And it's something we encourage every Christian to do, right? Yeah. I commend that virtue of sincerity, and that person will go far just by sustaining this kind of thought. The second thing I want to tell you is this, very important. You don't have an excuse. You don't have an excuse. We will have a cloud of witness when we get to heaven. In fact, we will not wait to get to heaven. There are many people on earth here that are going to tell you on that day that we were in the same issue, we're in the same situation, but we didn't do this. The fact that you are being tempted doesn't mean you are the first person that is being tempted. There are long lists of people that have been tempted in this area, but did not go this far. Right? As much as you are sincere, you don't have an excuse why you should live like this. This is very important. The person needs to know that people have survived this before, right? And then the third advice I will have for you, right, which culminates all these things is, I'm thinking of how best to say it so that I'm not tempted. There's a way you preach now, and people want to say you are agreeing with sin, or you are preaching something that sponsors sin. So even many pastors are even careful about some kind of talk, especially in public space. But this is it, right? You did not offend the devil. When you fell into sexual immorality, the person you offended was not the devil, right? In fact, sin does not affect God. It doesn't injure God, doesn't stop God from anything as God. The person sin affects is the believer. In fact, the Bible will put it this way. It says it is sin that separates us from God, not God from us. It separates us. The person that is bearing the brunt of iniquity is not God. Nothing changes with God because you went into sin, right? And it is not the devil you offended. I'm saying this so that you don't lie down in guilt, become depressed in guilt, remain in guilt, and that's where you are all your life and you think you are being nice by trying to put yourself in guilt and remaining there. No. You need a discipler, you need a pastor, somebody that can guide you out, and be able to monitor your progress, help you to become strong, help you to stand back on your feet. I've always said that it doesn't matter the condition, God can make a beautiful thing out of any ugly experience. It was still David and Uriah's wife, that gave birth to Solomon, who was the king that took after David. Where were all the other children, Absalom and the rest? It was this woman that was taken from somewhere else that became that, right? I'm not saying it's a classic case. I'm only saying that it is not difficult for God to take any story and turn it for his glory.
Very well.
Yes. So you did not offend God. Keep your heads up, stand straight, but give attention to the first three things I said. And finally, you need a pastor. You need a pastor that loves you, a discipler, somebody you can be accountable to, that will help you. It will go a long way to restoring you and making you a better Christian.
Thank you so much. I'm blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you for honoring this invitation.
Thank you so much.
This is a big mind shift for us. So we still hope to have you again on this show. Like really, we are going to probe into that topic of what men should know and what women should know. It's very, very vital.
All right.
And it will really help a lot of believers.
It's all right.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us till this point. I would encourage you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow us across our social media handles so that you will not miss out on our updates, and so you also know when Reverend Pascal is coming again to our show. Thank you so much for joining. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.